What if I told you Drake May is not a first-round quarterback? Today, we are going to be going all in on my quarterback draft rankings and who I think the Raiders should take and where. But before we do that, we got to put the kids to bed by thanking today's sponsor of the channel, and that is Earth Elixir, the #1 and trusted source for all natural sports supplements, owned and operated by a lifelong Raiders fan. Link is down in the description, and it will save you an additional 15% on your first purchase. Check them out today. All right, now that we got the bills paid, let's just jump straight back into some football. I know you guys want to know who my top quarterbacks are, but before that, I want you guys to vote down in the comments. Who is your favorite quarterback in the 2024 NFL Draft? Let me know down in those comments below. Okay, let's start out with the bottom of the barrel, the worst on this list. And let me just clarify, by saying the fact that they are the worst on the list does not mean that they're not going to be a great quarterback in the NFL. They certainly have the possibility. We have to keep in mind that out of all the quarterbacks drafted, only 33% of them will actually be starters in the NFL. So it's kind of a crapshoot. You don't really know if these guys are going to be successful. But based on all the analysis of how they did in college, their body builds, their success rates, all of these things combined can give you an idea of where these guys should be drafted. So we're going to start at number 6. And number 6 is Drake May. Yes, I know, that's shocking, but I'm not the only one saying this, and I have been saying this for quite some time. I am not a believer in Drake May. I don't think that he is a first-round quarterback. He is 6'4", 230 pounds, and that is the body type that a lot of NFL analysts are looking for. He's a Josh Allen, a Justin Herbert body build play type, and he has had some success. The problem I have with Drake May is for every highlight reel that he has, you can find 4 more plays where you're left scratching your head. One of the things with Drake May is he struggles in the pocket. His production this year in 2023 or past year has been worse than his production in 2022. You could argue that he should have probably entered the draft in 2022 and he would have been a top 3 quarterback. But he had a worse season in 2023 and much more inconsistency. When you look at his game tape, you see that there are a lot of holes, and guys like Ryan Leaf and Phil Simms agree with me that he's not a day 1 selection. At best, he's going to be a day 2 selection, and I agree with that analysis. I do believe that Drake May, if he's sat for a year or 2, those holes in his game can be corrected by proper coaching and practicing at an NFL level. Drake May could become a starter in the NFL. Now moving on to number 5, that I'm going to go with Bo Nix out of Oregon. Bo Nix broke all kind of NCAA records this past year. He's by far the most accurate quarterback in this entire draft, at least when it comes to the short and intermediate passes. The knock on Bo Nix has always been that he didn't face the greatest competition over there in the Pac-12, and he got beat twice by Michael Penix Jr. He also gets a knock for his arm strength. He did show that he has arm strength in the combine, but he also showed that he struggled at accuracy when it comes to the deep passes. And because of that, I'm going to put him at number 5. I think he's a solid pickup. I think he has the potential, especially because he's mobile as well, that he could be a first-string quarterback on an NFL team if you sit him for a year. If you start him right off the gate, I think that Bo Nix could struggle, and that supreme accuracy that he showed in college will not show through at the NFL level. For that reason, I have him ranked at number 5. Moving on to number 4, I'm going to go with J.J. McCarthy, the national champ out of Michigan. Now, he stands at 6'3", 202 pounds. So he has the height that you want to see out of a quarterback in the NFL. He's also a mobile guy. He can get out of pocket and make plays happen with his legs. Those are things you like to see. And he's an accurate quarterback, falling in the accuracy category only second to Bo Nix. Therefore, you can trust that he's going to have that type of NFL quarterback accuracy that you can count on over and over again, so that he's not throwing a bunch of interceptions. The problem again with J.J. McCarthy is similar to Bo Nix, in which over there at Michigan, he had a stacked team, and they didn't face the greatest of competition within their division. Even though he's only lost 3 games in his entire high school and college career, he never really faced adversity. At Michigan, he had the greatest coach in college. He also had the best defense and a fantastic run game. Their offense was run heavy. So the fact that he can throw the ball short and medium and even has a strong enough arm to get those deep passes, you gotta question as to whether or not J.J. McCarthy's success in college will translate over to the NFL level. Therefore, I have him ranked at a solid number 4, first day, first round draft pick. Moving over to number 3, and that's going to be my guy over at Washington, Mr. Michael Penix Jr. This guy, I believe, is a day 1 starter in the NFL. He can make every single NFL pass, and he is a true gunslinger at the signal caller position. He can drop back into the pocket and pick you apart. The only knock on Michael Penix Jr., who stands at 6'3", 213 pounds, is that he's had some injuries in his past before he transferred over to Washington. At the combine, he did the medicals and he passed with flying colors, so it should not be an issue. As well as when he was over at Washington, he didn't have any major injuries. He was able to play almost all of his games. Therefore, I would say that you can put the injury past to bed, except for the fact of his age. He's coming into the NFL a little bit older than what you would normally want out of your rookie quarterback. Combine that on with some injury issues in the past, and that could be a red flag for a lot of teams. However, I would say if he can stay healthy, this guy is a day 1 starter and will have a long career in the NFL as a starting quarterback. Now, I know my next guy is going to be a bit controversial coming in at number 2 because the talking heads have him as a consensus number 1, and there's a lot of buzz about him, and that is Caleb Williams. Why do I have Caleb Williams going number 2 instead of number 1? Well, let's start off with Caleb Williams. First of all, he's supposed to be 6'1" and about 215 pounds, but we don't know for sure because he refused measurements at the combine as well as the medicals. But that aside, Caleb Williams is an absolute athletic freak. He is a magician out of the pocket, throwing off platform like no other. Everybody has him equated as the Patrick Mahomes 2.0. I would say he's even better at being a magician outside the pocket than Patrick Mahomes was coming out of college. Therefore, he has a very high upside. But like Ryan Leaf said, 75% of what he did in college is not going to translate at the NFL level. You have to remember, in USC, they were in the Pac-12. He did not face the toughest defensive competition, and the guys at the NFL level, they're going to be able to chase him down a lot faster than the guys in college were doing. Therefore, it's suspect as to whether or not he's going to be able to excel the way that he did. Now, he is a former Heisman Trophy winner in 2022. He has a high upside. If he can get pocket passing down, he could excel in the NFL. Another knock on him, though, is again, his height. He's a little bit short, but other quarterbacks have been able to excel at the same height range. Just look at a Drew Brees. So we'll put that off to the side. One of the biggest knocks on him, though, really comes down to poor decision out there on the field, fumbles, and other issues he has at making decisions from within the pocket. But the biggest issue with Caleb Williams really comes down to the off-field antics that his parents are involved in, his family, as well as himself. Now, put aside all of the on-field antics like the painted fingernails, the crying after games, etc. The biggest issue really is how he's approaching going into the NFL. Now, it could be utter genius that he's simply trying to avoid going to a terrible team and getting the pick of the litter of where he wants to go and excel in his NFL career. But it could also become disastrous as he's starting already to get the reputation as a quarterback diva, and that could turn a lot of great teams off from bringing him in. Combine that with some of the issues that he has in his game. That's why I drop him from number 1 down to number 2. Now let's get to the one that you've all been waiting for, and if you haven't figured it out by now, well, maybe you just don't watch football. but that is Jayden Daniels, my dude out of LSU, former Arizona State guy, recruited by Antonio Pierce, and the Raiders should absolutely do everything they can to go up and get JD5. He's standing at 6'4" and noted at 210 pounds. Again, this is suspect because he also didn't do the measurements at the combine. So we don't know what his actual weight is. My guess, just looking at the kid, I would say he's closer to 195 pounds to maybe 200 pounds. That's one of the knocks on him, but we'll get to that in just a second. One of the things that I really like about Jayden Daniels is how much he's improved his game from when he first came to college to winning the Heisman Trophy just last year. He really excelled. He improved year after year. In fact, if he had gone into the draft last year, he probably would have been a 4th or a 5th round draft pick. But he decided to come back to school, improve his game even more, win the Heisman Trophy award, and now he is in the conversation for a top 3 pick. In my opinion, he is the best quarterback in this draft. He is day one ready. He can get out there and throw the ball everywhere all over the field because despite his pure athleticism, he is also a gunslinger of the ball. He can chuck the rock anywhere over the field, up and down, short, medium, and long. He's got a rocket for an arm. Combine that with his dangerous feet and how he can get out of the pocket and break off a 60-yard touchdown run. All defenses in the NFL are going to have to contain and put a spy on this kid because he can simply burn you with his feet. And that's what makes him so dangerous. He's also more accurate as a gunslinger than Michael Penix Jr., throwing for 40 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions and almost 4,000 yards. This kid is a generational talent above and beyond anyone else in the draft, in my opinion. Now, the only knock that I see with him is that he does need to take less big hits when he's running with the ball, learning how to get out of bounds, save his body, and slide when he gets to the NFL to protect that slender frame. He needs to bulk up a little bit, and as far as his arm goes, he needs to work on his touch pass just a bit. It's a little bit lacking. Sometimes the balls are more lasers when they need to be more touch. Other than that, I think those are things that he can progress in the weight room as well with the coaching staff to fix the minor holes that he has in his game. How did I do? Rank my rankings down in the comments. Give me an E for an excellent, A for an average, or an F for failure.